Talk to you later.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to an RTSL game between J.R. Jones and Glen Fermisson. Justin Abramson here with you. Taking a little hiatus from playing league games, but calling games is more than acceptable. So J.R. needed a little bit of help today because his internet's not great, not good enough for streaming. So asked me to pitch in and help him with this game. And so here we are, and this hand is a monster. Wow. Okay, 3 4 ops plus D stall. He can get CIA out of the way on turn one, pretty much guilt free. Got a good headline in AI War. Yeah, this is pretty great if you're JR. Not so great if you're JR's opponent. Seems like a pretty easy AI war headline and a NATO coup. Then we'll see when JR. And then obviously the one complication, of course, is CIA and D-stall in hand. So you're going to want to get CIA out reasonably quickly. Ideally, maybe at DEFCON 3 before you D-stall. Um, but we will see how JR wants to handle that. Clock show 90 minutes, but game is 60 minutes in length for RTSL level 3. JR hoping to be promoted to level 2. Taking a look at the records for these two guys, JR is 4-1 on the season, in a good spot for promotion. Glen is 2-4. Still waiting for Glen to make his choice here. Okay, looks like we're going to see the standard 4-4-2. Yep, that's exactly what we will see. No, JR. Yeah, no, he's not going to do that. Containment headline. Okay, well, JR's got plenty of ops too. Does JR misses the war? Okay, so we should see a nice roll here on the coup. Okay, 3 is actually not bad. That might draw a coup back, and maybe we'll see an early D stall or an early CIA. That's an interesting roll. Always tempts the coup back, and under containment, Glenn will have more than enough ops to challenge that. So we'll see how he does that and how JR wants to respond. Usually, when we see the coup back, it's pretty immediate. So I would expect to see the usual combination of Lebanon, Egypt, Malaysia here, would be my guess. With one in Iran, you don't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, with one in Iran, you don't usually see the Jordan play. Lebanon. Oh, it does go Jordan. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate that. Usually, if Iran is emptied, you'll see the Jordan play. But with one in there, it's a little less helpful. Okay, JR going to go right into Pakistan and South Korea. That's fine. You can also take both Iraq and Iran. No, just going to take Iran. I think this calls for a 4 op. I'm fine with this. I'd be fine with that too, but the problem is if you go Iraq and Iran, you neuter the Jordan play. But then you run the risk of a big coup, and you don't really want to coup back with a card like Marshall. So, okay, he does go Iran, Pakistan. I think that's fine. Now, we might eat a big coup in Pakistan here. Nope, just influence. Okay, gonna go 3 Thailand and then 1 Libya. Okay. JR thinking about it, lining up a coup with CIA in hand. JR does not have Fidel in hand either. So we're thinking about a big China card coup here. It's an aggressive play. If you try the China card coup and you get it, you're almost certainly going to score Asia domination. Unless, of course, Glen has the scoring right now, in which case I certainly would have dumped it by now. But if you miss, it's such a disaster. You've given up China turn one, and you have no access in Southeast Asia. You probably don't want to use D-stall there. Okay. Okay. JR decides to go for a smaller coup on Libya, and he misses the roll. So now we will see if Glen decides to take his shot on Iran, get his mill-ops. Or if he decides he wants to concede mill-ops and spread out. Yep, he's going to take his coup. Needs a 5 to get in there. Or rather, needs just a 4 because of containment. My bad. He rolls a 1. Okay, so now we're going to see a D-stall and a CIA hold. I think that makes sense. Well, because if you give CIA here, yeah, yeah, I think that's right. If you give CIA here, Glenn is going to go Angola, presumably go Angola, Colombia. You're then going to coup Colombia, and D-stall is going to be very messy. So I'm fine with this, and then you're going to hold CIA till next turn. Probably have to space Marshall, or if you can, take France with Marshall and then just give it up. Don't believe we've seen 5-year plan or duck, but I suspect JR is going to hang on to China here. Pardon the gravelly voice, folks. I tested positive for COVID-19 this morning. So that is a joy and a delight. Okay, and JR gonna just go ahead and go into Zaire. And then we'll see what he decides he wants to do with Marshall. Oh, we do see Asia scoring, so Glenn did have it. And Jr. Yeah, I don't love a jam of France here. I think if you're gonna give Marshall, okay, now Jr. is gonna space Marshall. Okay, so Jr. leaves just one in Colombia, so just one in Venezuela, excuse me. So probably we'll see a Colombia play, but Jr. also figuring he's probably giving up CIA next turn. So CIA will probably coup Africa, and then he can use the CIA op to take Venezuela. Okay, Vietnam, that's got to take Laos and Colombia, right? No, we're going to go France. No Colombia. Very surprised at that. I also think Algeria could have waited. You might want to get a 5th in France for Suez Soc Govs. Okay, so JR's hand pretty bad here. No 4s. He does get Suez, which is an interesting headline, but JR may need the ops. He does not get 5-year plan or duck, so he can't headline CIA. Nasser is good, is a good headline as well. Nasser's good. CNS is good. With just one in Egypt, now I like Nasser here, I think. Then we're giving CIA. Okay, well, that's unfortunate, but that's actually not going to cost JR much. Suez probably will be played for the event. JR's got 4 1-ops in his hand. No, I don't like that. Yeah, do this. This is good. So I think you just take an Africa coup here. JR does not have a way to get mill-ops. But see now, because Colombia wasn't taken, JR can use the 1-op somewhere else if he desires. He may want to spread down into Brazil. Okay, just going to take the coup there. Big 6. So JR can overprotect Zaire if he wants. He can spread into Brazil if he wants. He can solidify Venezuela if he wants. This is not going to be a fun turn for JR. Okay, going to take Middle East on. That's fine too. I think I would have overprotected Zaire or maybe gone one Venezuela instead of that. To me, if Glenn wants to score Middle East right now, that's fine. I'll take my 2 VPs, and then I'll event CNS and get 2 more VPs out of that. But okay. So Glenn now knows that JR's hand is terrible. Glenn also knows that JR has Truman in his hand. Um, Fortunately, Glenn also knows that JR has Warsaw in his hand, because otherwise you could do something crazy like jam East Germany, um, and force some difficult decisions on JR's part. But if I were JR, Truman, CNS would be my next play, assuming. Actually, never mind. There's no rush to space. What am I saying? Because Glenn already spaced last turn and hit it. Okay. Oh, there's Korean War. This is a big roll, and JR misses. So 2 South Korea here means, yeah, JR is not going to be able to. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with this. That's fine. Okay. Yes. Sorry, folks. I had forgotten that Glenn spaced last turn. But yes, Truman, much more important to get out now, because now that can wait. Okay. Okay, yep, gonna solidify Libya. Jordan, that stops Dom. So JR, yeah, I don't mind. I think you take Iraq here. Yeah, this is fine. Suez can be an event with Europe unscored. And then Romanian Suez is going to be an event, I think. CNS will be an event, and then Romanian's got to take Venezuela. I think that's how it's going to have to go. Okay, and there he is. He does have Middle East, so JR picks up 4 VPs. That's nice. Okay. I Okay, JR maybe. Okay, Glen looks like someone who does not have Europe scoring. So JR maybe thinking save Suez for the next turn headline. Or maybe he will save. Maybe he saves CNS for next turn. That's possible too. Okay. Okay, and we'll just see a De Gaulle for an empty AR. Okay, pretty clear now that Glen does not have Europe scoring. I think I think a CNS, just eventing CNS here is probably fine. I'm going to take the op. Okay, all right. JR probably also worried about um, EEU headline, perhaps. Okay, C5 going to threaten India. That makes sense. And then we'll see what JR wants to do, if he wants to hold Suez for the headline or if he wants to just take the one op of Olympic. Nope, going to event Suez right now, make Glen repair. Okay. Oh, and he's going to give Fidel. Interesting. He's going to give Fidel. CIA obviously not in the picture here. So that's a nice treat for JR. That could have been spaced. But he gives Fidel to take back France. So a good play by JR to get rid of Suez. Also, Glen does not have Europe Dom. JR does not get the scoring though. Glen does. JR does get Purge. And a Middle East redraw, which I am sure, is enjoying. Truman gone. So we could see some jammy jam action. Yep. And JR says, yeah, defectors known in Glen's hand. So Middle East is a good headline. Purge is a good headline. But those are redraws. It could just headline Olympic Games here. I don't know what you do. Yeah, with defectors known. Okay, there's Marshall. So Marshall's very nice. So Glen's going to get himself a nice Europe domination. And JR is going to try and get himself 2 VPs. He will. JR looked like he's just going to take his coup, which makes sense. And he'll hit the roll. Okay, so the left side of the board looking very good for JR. And JR will pick up, presumably, yes, I mean, he will. He has IP war in hand. So JR will pick up, in addition to the 10, he'll pick up an additional 2 for Milops. He'll pick up an additional 4, presumably, for Middle East, unless Saudi gets filled here. He will lose 5 for Europe Dom, though. VP track and board both going to be looking very nice for JR as we head into the mid-war. JR will want to overprotect Zaire. I don't know that he'll want to take Saudi. I think he'll probably just want to get the scoring off as quickly as possible for his Dom. India, also a very important country. With the war gone, Korean War is gone. India contested right now. Obviously JR has IP war. I can't recall if it's known or not. So I don't know if Glen is going to want to step in there. Glen's going to want to take Europe Dom here. Nope. Okay, so he is going to go to India and then go Burma. So he is worried about the war. And JR not going to mess around with that. He knows he needs India. I like this play. This is fine. He doesn't want to chance the war. Okay, that takes Europe Dom. Nothing JR can really do about that. So I think JR will probably say, you take your 5 and I'll take my 4. This seems like a good time, as good a time as any to score Middle East. Yep. There it is. So JR takes a 14 VP lead. This should be Europe to take it down to 9. Yep. Should see JR space duck. There it goes. And then JR has 2 ARs left. He's going to want to put 1 in Zaire. He's going to want to spread to Brazil. One in Zaire. So he's got 6 ops left. 1 Zaire, 2 Brazil, and then probably more in South America. This makes sense. JR happy to have Purge out of the deck. So JR can take control of South America if he wants to. I think maybe a 3rd in Venezuela and a 2nd in Zaire makes more sense. There's D-Call. Got to go to space. Will he hit the first roll? He will not. I suspect this is 1 Venezuela, 1 Zaire. No, just got to take South America control. Okay, the Pakistan overprotect. All these are fine. I think my play would just be... All right. Yeah, just leaves the one lonely influence in Africa. Not sure what Glen is holding at this point. Guatemala makes sense for him. South Africa makes sense for him. Saharan makes sense. A Zaire flip makes sense. But JR with an 11 VP lead, and he's gonna now. If we see South America turn 4, that could just be GG right here. All right. Okay, well, Junta is nice. VOA can be easily spaced. So this seems like a pretty clear Junta headline. Gets 5-year plan. Going to have to give Kennedy here. Yeah, you can't. With 5-year plan, Kennedy, voice in hand, you can't hold junta. You might as well headline it. Okay, OAS is annoying. Yep, you just take your coup. Oh, and he flips over Mexico. Now OAS will do next to nothing because it's just going to be easily repaired. That hurts. That should be. Yeah, okay, either of those scorings is going to be a problem. Yeah, JR, yes, that's correct. South America scoring would win you the game. Yeah, this play makes sense. Set up the real lines on both countries. So JR fixes pack, protects Cuba. Now we'll see, presumably, the real lines on Mexico, but JR will still have domination even if the real lines hit. C5. Okay, that's a very early C5. Okay, real lines hit in one roll. Zaire would be quite reasonable here. I'm going to go Panama and miss. Yeah, yep, and that makes sense. With C5, he knows, JR knows that he doesn't have either of his good scorings. Puppets. Okay, Nigeria, Uruguay, okay, and Mexico. There we go. Finally, the second in Zaire. Yeah, the overprotect so you don't get a jam isn't bad. But JR also not particularly pressed for ops. He is going to have some obligations here that he needs to take care of. I guess really just one, though. He's going to have VOA, which he needs to space. Willie Brandt is a guilt-free 2. Cultural is a guilt-free 3. And then Kennedy could discard Gunman, but it's not going to discard any scorings. So Europe doesn't look good for JR, but it is scored. Africa doesn't look good for JR. Asia at the moment looks pretty even, although Southeast Asia looks bad. Could get worse. Okay, Glen going to try and space. He will hit, so I assume we'll see JR immediately space VOA to try and pick up 2 VPs. He will, so JR up a dozen now. '12 is in the zone where, oh, and there is one small step, so he did have it. And now the two are even on the space track, but JR picks up the 2 VPs but first. Yeah, I was thinking about, are we going to try and push here for 20 and event Willie? Yeah, getting a second mill op isn't bad. That's an annoying roll, though, because Glen needs Milops himself, and now he's got a nice target in Haiti. So he'll coup there, and then JR is going to have to go back into Nicaragua. Okay, just a one-op coup. Needs at least a 3, and he'll get it. Cultural, maybe you'll see one Nicaragua. Maybe we'll see one Cameroon, perhaps. Yeah, overprotecting Asia is not bad. If you're gonna, yeah, that's not bad. Okay, Colombia. OAS is gone. Puppets is gone. Panama Canal, though, still around. So maybe we will see a third in Panama and Venezuela on AR7. JR just really wants to get South America scoring on next turn and score at AR1 and be done with this game. We'll see if he gets what he wishes for. JR happy he does not have to worry about VOA. Okay, so dot for the event is good, but too little too late, unfortunately, with Middle East already scored twice. Muslim, going to discard 2 cards with 5 scorings out there. Wow. Okay, going to take a chance, but he's behind. So, still, those are 2 bad cards, and he'd already used his space shot. So yeah, I can understand discarding those 2 cards, especially if you're behind. You draw 2 scoring cards, you lose. But heck, you draw just South America, you lose. So yeah, those were both problematic events. Muslims, like, I suppose, not that bad. Yep. Depends when the scorings come. Okay, so Flower Power has got to take Mexico, presumably. South Africa and to take Africa Dom. Yep, that makes sense. So, yeah, if Glen can get off an Africa Dom or a control. Oh, that was a quick headline. This could be grain. If you can get off a quick Africa Dom or a control and then just get a foothold in South America and make that 5 instead of 10, you've got a game here. Especially the Middle East doesn't look bad. Now that Sadat is gone, Europe looks good for Glen, and Southeast Asia as well. Although JR presumably is going to dump Southeast Asia as soon as he possibly can. In fact, Southeast Asia might be my headline here. The problem is, if this is ABM, you could see Glen just fill those up to get VP. You could also you could 5-year plan Southeast Asia. Right now, Southeast Asia is just 3. You could 5-year plan Southeast Asia, but that means you're spacing Bear Trap, you're giving Camp, Shuttle, and NATO. You also can't event Salt, which is perhaps uncomfortable. I might want to eat the 3. Yeah, you event Salt here, then you. Okay, there it is. There is grain. So if grain takes a card, now you will have the opportunity. So if grain takes a card, JR will have the opportunity to 5-year plan Southeast Asia. Okay, decall makes sense. Oh my goodness, and grain picks decall. What a terrible result. Decall obviously is a card. Yeah, that has to be spaced. That has to be spaced. That has to be space. Now, of course, Glen could have Gunman and We Will Bury You. But even then, I'd still space it at DEFCON 5. This card has to be spaced, I think. You really do not want JR decalling. But you could also just return it, take a coup of Zaire, and tell JR to do his worst. Maybe Glen has a hand. Maybe Glen has CRGs and can instantly respond to whatever JR does with decall. Because if you space it here, though, of course, JR gets 2 coups to Glen's 1. Yep, and he does space it. Okay, so Glen gets to headline peak. Space is decall. Now JR in a little bit of an uncomfortable position. But he can 5-year plan Southeast Asia if he so desires. So we'll see what he wants to do. I think a coup, okay, quickly reaching for shuttle. That was mighty quick on the trigger there for shuttle. Now filling up Taiwan gives Glen Asia Dom. Okay, JR gets a big role in Nigeria. Presumably, we'll just see a coup back in Zaire, and then JR will coup once more. Complicating matters would be if Glen has Gunman. If Glen has Gunman, he could give it now, allow one more coup, and then you take the last coup in Zaire. Of course, if he has Gunman and shows South America, that's it. But I think if Glen has South America, it's probably over anyway. Okay, going to take a 3-op coup of Zaire, hit the roll, and then JR will get one more roll in Africa, presumably. Yep, not going to take any chances with this roll. Just going to take a big coup. I would. Oh, wow! Going to take thinking about a swing at Mexico or Egypt. No, I don't like that. Not under Salt. I'm worried about a brush and an Africa control. That's what I'm worried about. I would just take this in Zaire, even though it doesn't affect Dom. But okay, JR gets a 4, which would be enough without Salt. Would have flipped Zaire. I would be worried about a brush war of Nigeria giving Africa control. But okay, he goes Mexico, and Glen will be able to fix this with a Garden Variety 3-op. We'll see if he's got one. No, he does not. Wow. Well, JR doesn't have one either. So, and JR can't give Bear Trap. And he doesn't want to give China either because then he has to score Southeast Asia. Yeah, not much JR can do here. He's going to give Camp David. I think this is fine. Yeah, just fight for it a little bit. Glen's hand must truly be awful if he couldn't spare a 3-op to take Mexico to avoid central control. Indy Reds, yeah, they're going to fight over Mexico. JR going to use a 1. Or he could just give up in space here, which I might do. Yeah, I think that's fine. So JR with a couple of 1-op plays and 5-year plan. You could just give the 3 of Southeast Asia and hold on to 5-year plan for Africa. But I think you probably want 5-year plan out of your hand given that you're ahead. I'm going to take a 1-op coup. Flip over Cameroon. That stops Africa Dom. Omit for ops. Wow. I am very surprised by that. That is that again, Glen's hand Glen has shown that his hand is bad. But Omid is a card that I feel like has to be evented here. Kennedy is gone. OAS is gone. Puppets is gone. And you're controlled in South America. Okay, well, that makes sense. You had to get that Africa Dom off. You had to get it off. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I did not like Glen's play of Omit for ops, but he had to get that Africa Dom off, so that makes sense. Um, probably wanted to get it off earlier, but had to fight for Mexico. And JR jams Mexico, which is a great play, um, because Glen has shown that his ops are terrible. Now he has to play a card he would have liked to play for the event, just for ops to protect Mexico. And will we see South America? We will not, but plenty of ops here. Wow. Okay, what do we got? We've got 5 3 ops and a couple of 4s. And we've got some blue here. Usuri could serve to simply give away China. Alliance is just 1 at the moment. EEU, not too bad. We will bury you headline is potentially interesting here if UN is gone. Portuguese? No, I don't understand Portuguese. Africa scored. I like We Will Bury You a lot better because then you can just fix that and not allow a coup. Okay. All right, that's fine. JR is in the chat, but this game is not over. But Omit gone, Kennedy gone. Glen in some trouble here. He can take a coup in South America if he wants one, but Venezuela is imminently reliable, and Brazil and Argentina are overprotected, and he faces the threat of central control. Okay. So yeah, JR, and I didn't point that out. I was thinking about missile envy. JR used NTB, and when he should have used We Will Bury You for that. Instead, he takes the coup of Panama, rolls big, and now loses Mexico. So VP track only 6. But if Glen has both Central and South, he's in a world of hurt. That's right now looking like 13 VPs. Space is incredibly important here. So I would expect to see this to me seems like a fine time for Glen to space. Because this is a 6 VP swing. If JR hits a space roll and gets off Central Dom and South Control. Oh, ABM. Wow. All right. So this should go Mexico. Oh, and he hits that as well. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, South America, JR's only good region. JR is behind in the Middle East. He's behind in Africa. Central is even, and he's behind in battlegrounds. JR is behind in Europe. And Asia looks relatively even, but again, just filling up Taiwan gives Dom. So yeah, absolutely, this is very losable. And oh, CNS from Glen that for a big 3 VPs. So JR punted that for ops in the early war. Yep, yeah. JR punted CNS for ops in the early war, and that comes back to bite him big time. And JR with a lot of ops here, but Mexico and Panama are overprotected. Yeah, and if Glenn has a 3-op and Asia, that is a big problem for JR. JR only has 4 countries. He's down 5 countries to 4. Although, rather, sorry, if JR with both Shuttle and Formosan in play, JR Glenn just needs to take Taiwan or Japan, and that's Dom for him. Asia is unscored, so it's going to come now or it's going to come next turn. JR, yeah, so Glenn took 2 coups in Central. So that indicates to me he probably has Central, or at least that he doesn't have South. But we'll see. Okay, OPEC, yep, has to go to space. Will Glenn get to discard? He will. We will bury you. Yeah, I don't hate that. CRGs. Okay, that is going to fill up Southeast. And Glenn going to hope that one comes back in the late war because JR 5-year planned it. JR used salt, but correctly predicted the grain headline from Glenn. And Glenn made what I thought was a good play to space decall, especially with Africa scoring in hand. Okay, so JR now with 4 battlegrounds. So shuttle knocks that down to 3, and then okay, and he does have Central, so gets that off for even. Doesn't try to take a coup because that would have still left it even. And now JR is going to give EEU, which is interesting. He's going to hold Ussuri. Boy, I might give Ussuri here. I don't love it, but man, I really don't like the idea of putting EEU back in the deck. I like the idea of holding it to turn 7, especially with the Pope around. And yeah, JR knows the Pope could well be coming here on AR7. Kind of like holding it. Okay, there's South African, which is a little bit of a problem. So this just looks like it's just going to be an empty hour. I think you got to put both in Angola, and then Glen should repair. Neither player can space 2s. We've seen Grain, we've seen Voice, but JR also in Star Wars hell. Also don't believe we've seen Gunman. So I believe Glen has Gunman. No, he discarded it, and I did not see it, so that's my fault. Okay, so here we go. It is turn 7, and JR with a 3 VP lead. Glen has South America in hand. So JR, JR now, he's got CRGs, he's got the Pope, Usury, and Bear Trap. I wonder if this is a self-trap hand. I also wonder if this is a decall headline. So JR with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries in Asia to Glen's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even a decall headline breaking Burma, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia does not give him Dom, I believe, with shuttle around. So decall, I think I'm okay with the Asia headline, and then you only a successful IP war would change things here. Yeah, I think you. Okay, gonna give arms race. That makes sense. That's a big nothing. And I guess I was thinking you give Bear Trap here, but arms race makes more sense. Oh, that's a bad one. That is a bad one for JR. Yeah, you can't. You're right. You of course cannot give Bear Trap. You have to take the coup and protect South America. You ideally want to give Bear Trap when after the scoring is played and you've cashed in your 8 VPs. Yes, apologies again for the gravelly voice. I have COVID-19. It's super fun. Thank you for your concern, Yarek. I've not been feeling very well for the last few days, but it's no big deal. I'm sure I'll be fine. So I have not tracked what is in Glen's hand, but I do know that he has South America. Okay, yeah, got to repair Angola after the 1. So JR, I think, probably wants to put on as much pressure as possible, but he's got issues in his hand. It's a little weird because you want to just give Glen space, give Glen an opportunity to just score South America and be done with it, so he doesn't have to respond to anything. So that you can then self-trap, because I think you have to self-trap here. If you don't, if you space Bear Trap, you've got to give Usury 2 of Usury, the Pope, and CRG, which, boy, I really don't think you want to do. If you self-trap, you can dump 1 of CRG and the Pope and space Usury. Hold on to China. Okay, there's a big 4-op. So 1, 2, yep. Oh, overprotect South Africa. JR running out of ARs here. I think he probably wants to save Brush for a rainy day. Yeah, you don't want to space before Bear, but if you miss 2 rolls, you're in big trouble anyway. So I think I'm okay with this. Yeah, JR misses the roll. Yeah, just a 1-op. A third in I don't understand a third in Angola. Maybe he has to. Maybe he must have redrawn South African because Portuguese is gone. JR trying to realign on Uruguay, just desperately trying to get Glen to score South America before he has to self-trap or give up some of these bad events. And at this point, I'm not sure JR will self-trap. Now he may decide he wants to give, he may decide to give China. Ooh, and a Europe redraw. That is very helpful for Glen. So that gets him 5 VPs. Okay, JR decides he's going to give the Pope here. Just for a break of Algeria. And he's going to, man, he is leaving Eastern Europe very weak. However, JR has no doubt been tracking, and he knows what Glen has in his hand in addition to South America. Glen has 3 ARs left. He's got to score South America. Okay, yep, and he's been signaling that he has redrawn South African. So I think you just you just do that. That's easy. So Glen has been prepping for that. And so now you just go 1 Angola and 1 Algeria. Then I assume we'll see a brush of Panama. Yeah, this has got it. This just is a brush of Panama, isn't it? I know he's going to go Algeria and he's going to hit it. Okay. JR hits brush. Yeah, that's wild. JR hits his brush for. Okay, Glen going to space. He's going to hit for 4 VPs, and he's holding South America for the final AR. Okay, now CRG's isn't that bad because he's got Algeria at 6 and Nigeria at 5. He's also got a country count advantage, 6-3 in Africa, so he's really reshaped Africa. So I suppose you could see CRG could, I suppose, go Zimbabwe, Sudan, Ethiopia, Saharan states, which would give Glen back domination. But JR knows that Glen has to score South America here. So you might see JR just ignore all of this and poke Uruguay for 2 VPs. Right? Glen does have South America. I've been talking about it this whole time. I don't think we've lost South America scoring in the deck. Yep. Go Tunisia. Yeah, that's what I would do as well. Just pick up 2 VPs. In fact, not just 2 VPs, but you get 2 VPs for South America and 2 more for Millops. Glen did not get Millops that turn. So a nice job by JR making sure that didn't happen. And now, yeah, JR. What? So that's it. GG. I don't understand. Nope. Okay, so we have a player who does not understand the rules and thinks he can discard scoring cards with discard. Okay, well, that is a disappointing end to the game. But congratulations to JR. He gets the win, improves to 5-1 in RTSL. A little bit of a disappointing ending. That would have been a fun late war. JR with a VP lead. And I think ahead in the game overall, but certainly not over by any means. So Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a great rest of your day. That was fun, but now it's done. So long, everybody.